Hello everyone and welcome back to The Letter, where we have just arrived at the party for the third time?
20th time it feels like.
Something like that. So now we're Rebecca. She got dropped off really far away. Found out she's severely underdressed. And
Stupid rich people.
Right.
The
worst.
She's gonna go find out that Mr. Asshole lives here.
I cannot wait for that. Alright, let's hear what Hana has to say. Presumably Ms. Wright, from the confident manner she holds herself among present company, this despite keeping a far simpler appearance than the rest of her own guests or not having her husband beside her. A trait worthy of utmost admiration at best. At worst, she's the envy of every woman, the subject of every gossip in Luxborn.
Welcome everyone.
And Mom said we could have been good friends. I can't even picture myself mingling with the kind of guest she has, though I admit she does seem familiar now that I've seen her this close. Memories of sitting in a vanity, not mine, being dressed in clothes too fancy for my tastes. They flit briefly in my mind until her cheerful tone rises above the buzz of her enraptured audience again.
Please make yourselves at home.
I wish I could share her enthusiasm, really. But being surrounded by all this extravagance, for the lack of a better term, merely makes me dread how the rest of the night might go. I shouldn't have let Luke's words affect me like that. I should have just gone ahead and asked Ashton like I've planned. If he were here, then I wouldn't have to.
Be careful with Shirley, alright?
Oh, so that's how he ends up here. He's probably like on a stakeout. The rest of that thought dies in my mind at once. A moment of astonishment overcomes me before confusion sets in seconds later. It takes another for my body to catch up. Once it does, when I finally turn to see it for myself, it's his familiar mop of hair that catches my eyes first. And there he is, almost in arm's reach if it isn't for the guest standing between us. Ashton Frey, standing in the Ermengarde mansion's driveway, with an air too lackadaisical for someone who absolutely abhors parties of any form. Or has any business here as far as I know. The picture it forms is too bizarre for me that my mouth speaks out ahead of any coherent thought.
Ashton?
He swivels on his heels with an equally puzzled face. An odd expression flashes momentarily across it once he sees me, though he blinks it away before I can figure out what it is exactly.
Becca, what are you doing here?
You know, hanging out with dead people.
I was invited.
I had to come investigate all the dead bodies and dead people because you won't.
What she said. I wonder if that's why he's here, though.
Oh, I'm sure.
Really? I had no idea you were friends with the host.
Well, it's my parents, actually. But that's beside the point. What are you doing here? You hate parties.
I still do. I'm just here on behalf of a friend.
That in itself is weird coming from him. It doesn't help that he isn't even making an effort to spare a glance my way when he answers. Instead, they're focused at some point in the crowd. His gaze darting between people walking past us until a small frown forms in his face.
That's rare. Do you have someone with you then?
Nope, just me. I won't be staying long.
Well, if that's the case, maybe you and I can...
Chief?
Uh-oh.
Ashton, what's...
Unexpectedly, he places a hand on my shoulder, stopping me mid-sentence. He still has the distracted look on him, except this time his eyes are sharper, as if he has found what or who he has been searching for among the throng of partygoers earlier.
Wasn't supposed to keep pursuing this, so the chief's gonna have words with him.
Oh, but we're gonna cover for him. We're gonna be like, he's our guest.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, Becca. I need to... There's something I need to check for a bit. I'll talk to you later. Do you have a ride home?
No, I had to take a cab here. My car wouldn't start this afternoon. But what about...
I told you to get that old thing checked before, didn't I? You can head back with me after this. Anyway, I gotta go. See ya. Be careful, okay?
Can you check in the basement to see if Marianne's down there?
Yeah, someone really should check on her. I meet the smile he hastily throws my way with a frown of my own. What does he mean by that? But before I can ask already, he has turned his back from me and is walking away without a single explanation whatsoever. In some desperate effort, I try to catch up to him, if only to know what warranted this sudden departure and his odd warning at the end.
Hey, be careful! About what
Only for my attempts to be interrupted by a muffled ringing from my pocket. Mom's cheerful voice greets me as soon as I answer.
Yes, I'm at the party already, Mom. Yes, I'll say hi to her if I can.
The conversation itself doesn't last long. Just a simple hello, a reminder to enjoy the party, and to send their regards to their old student. But when that call ends and I get to look up, Ashton's already nowhere in sight. With a sigh and admittedly a little disappointment, I tuck my mobile back into my pocket and head inside. Even with familiar company, however coincidental this meeting is, this is somehow shaping up to a terrible evening. The party hits full swing an hour later. With the host's opening remarks given, still no sign of her husband, the poor woman, and the guests promptly fed, the band shifts the melody to a livelier tune. Soon, laughter and the rhythmic tapping of shoes fill the room, all in accordance to the lifting strains of music. It seems fun, I admit. Fascinating at certain moments, the flurry of dancers making the music their own, almost with no care in the world. If I weren't so indisposed, I'd have joined the crowd for a song or two. There isn't a lack of invitations anyway, plenty of them, in fact, with some asking more than once. It's only my stubborn refusal that prevents me from joining them. And I can. A single nod is all it'll take, and the evening would have been far enjoyable for me. But pride and my own silly hopes, the thought of being seen with one of them by him curbs that, as much as I hate to admit it. Because doing so also means outright acknowledging the douche's claims. That he has to be the one to tell me that still sends my blood boiling. I would have preferred someone more agreeable, less of an arse. It's a hard truth to swallow, especially when the very person at the center of it makes denial difficult.
Yep.
Can't even spare me a minute of his attention or a single glance at me the whole evening.
I can't figure, is he talking about Ash or Luke?
I think in that case it was Ash. Hell, Zachary might have spoken more words to me. Big guy's busy covering the event to boot, but at least he manages to slip in a conversation or two between takes or a small wave of his hand when he passes by. What's Ashton's excuse?
There you go.
He's been flitting in and out of sight the whole time. One moment he's hanging around a small group, and another he's hovering around the string band. Just a second ago, he's wolfing down some deviled eggs by the buffet table, a glass of wine in hand. Take the wine. Next thing I know, he's gone. If I didn't know any better, I'd say he doesn't want to be with any of his friends. Is it because his boss is here? What's the big deal about that? It has never bothered him before.
I swear, the next person who asks, I'm dancing the night away with. Ashton can go fuck himself.
You would catch his eye a lot better if you wore nicer clothes, don't you think?
Her voice almost makes me jump, too focused on the gobshite wandering around the ballroom and my own annoyance to notice. If she's heard any of the profanities I've mumbled, or she's taken notice of my discomfiture, she makes no comment on it, merely greeting me with a smile when I turn my attention to her. Ms. Hannah Wright gives off a whole different air when she's not speaking to an audience. Homely, a bit too friendly for my liking. But I guess that comes from being raised in such an environment and having to deal with pompous, snooty people. Though I suppose nothing has really changed from years ago. I remember her carrying herself in the same manner during that one and only visit. Does she remember any of it? I won't be surprised if she doesn't. It has taken me a while myself. She's probably met a lot of people like little Becky throughout the years. Might have already forgotten about me or my parents. People like her thrive on connections after all. Nevertheless, I return her smile, awkward and stiff as it may be.
Didn't realize the housewarming was going to be this fancy. I would have
first time
gone
they,
with a
like,
nice
doubled up
dress
on
if
a
I
scene.
knew.
Second, because they did it during Marianne's. I remember we got a little irritated.
Okay.
And we're like, all right, we've seen this already.
Yeah, we've
Let's
seen this. I don't care.
move on.
Oh, you're fine, dearie. It's only really the parvenus, those who climb, that come to these parties all dolled up. Quite the black-haired beauty, isn't he?
It takes me a while to realize who she's talking about, until Ashton walks by again in closer proximity than any of the times he has done so far this evening. Still without a look of acknowledgement our way, though, even if Miss Wright speaks loud enough to catch the attention of anyone within earshot.
Who, Ash?
You know, you really shouldn't have turned down those offers. If I wasn't married, I'd happily go dancing with those young men. But you said a name. Ash. That's the exquisite lad you've been looking at all this time. I don't know him, and I'm the one hosting this party. That must mean you know each
I
other.
feel like I'm so sophisticated because I would have said that's the hot dude you've been following the whole night. She's
Is
like,
he
he's
your boyfriend
exquisite.
then? Because that would explain those rejections.
She seems to really like her flowery words.
Yes.
She's poised.
I'm not poised. I'm like back gutter poised.
I like it. This isn't the first time someone has made that assumption. Almost every student I've had in the past did. My coworkers, more often than not, assume he is. A few of my neighbors also think we're an item. Not that Ashton has ever reacted to those. He's been quite indifferent about it, in fact. Still, the heat of blush creeps up my cheeks, a denial ready despite wanting it to happen so badly myself.
What? No, that's ridiculous. He isn't my boyfriend.
I think the problem too is this isn't a particularly interesting conversation to have twice.
Such a violent reaction. A simple no would have sufficed.
Could you point me to your attic? I'm pretty sure you have a dead person there that I'd like to investigate.
Yeah, we should really get on that.
Get on
Or the cellar. I think you
yeah.
might have someone in trouble down there.
She got pulled into the basement further.
Many here would be happy to hear it.
And I haven't been looking at him.
All
I
I
do
want to
have-
see is the Luke scene. He comes in and with...
Yeah!
That's what I want to see.
I do my best to summon a straight face, but before her good cheer, it easily falters.
That's right. You've been staring. Quite heatedly, in fact. Although I'm not sure if you look like you want to kiss him or kill him.
It's more the latter currently.
Since they're reusing the dialogue, can I reuse that as an episode title?
Just don't go murdering him on my property. I don't want to walk into a room and suddenly find a body there.
Ooh, foreshadowing.
Again. It's infectious in a way. No sooner I find myself enjoying our chat more than I've imagined myself to. Although her attention briefly wavers at one point, she remains a good companion. Even more once I've mentioned who my parents are, her face quickly lights up and
good.
fondness graces her face, despite the meeting from several years ago being a short one. But of course, there are some things we can't really avoid talking about. After all, it's one of the few things I remember her asking me the moment she spotted little Becky in the room. Do you have a boyfriend? In retrospect, it's an odd thing to talk about as children, when there were loads that we could have started with.
Yes, oh, I remember you. You were the cutest little thing with glasses. And when we met, you were having boy troubles with this lad called something with an A.
Uh-huh.
Don't bring up my repressed 20-year relationship, lady.
I believe I still have the clothes she gave me, chosen all so I could impress him. And even back then, Ashton has always been denser than a rock, and that one attempt to get him to notice backfired spectacularly. Sure, he's keen, he's a detective for heaven's sake, but feelings more often than not escapes him.
What was it again? Aaron, Alan, Adele,
Albert.
Alexander, Andrew?
I'm pretty sure it was Adele. I think we made that joke last time. Which makes this whole talk all the more embarrassing. And the more names she lists off, the more my discomfort grows until my smile turns into a grimace. What will she think of me? Here she is married to a man she most probably loves at that. Well, I'm stuck in the same place, yearning for the same person.
Ashton! Ash! That man is that boy! The same one. Oh, goodness me, after all these years!
Yeah.
I can see why, though. He's quite dashing.
You don't really need to announce it to everyone with an earshot, you know? Keep it down.
Nah.
I'm so sorry, but it really is cute.
She says that, but for a short moment, a hint of pity flickers in her eyes. I take that as a chance to change the subject before anything more can be said over the matter. I haven't even figured out how I should feel about the things Luke told me. Now I'm getting dragged into a similar discussion.
So, this is a nice party, Miss Wright.
Though, to be frank, I doubt she'll be so willing to pass this up. The topic has already captured her attention.
Please, Hannah is fine. We're friends of a sort, aren't we? We must be friends, seeing as I know about your little infatuation, Becky. Don't you worry, dearie. You'll
Are you
have your
implying you have
happy ending
blackmail
yet.
material?
I'm not too concerned about that, am I? That's not what I'm looking for.
Oh? And what makes you think that? Doesn't everybody want their happy ending?
The idea of happy endings sounds like they're just for fairy tales. And they are, sorta. I don't think you can just sit around, trapped in some tower and hope for the best. If you love them, you have to fight for it, right? You're not just going to sit there and hope that everything will just fix itself on its own. Like everything, you have to work at it.
Yeah, this is where we got the conflicting arguments from Marianne and
Yep.
Rebecca as Hannah. I feel like we made a bad choice. Hypocrisy, that's what this is. How dare I preach about something when it's exactly what I've been doing? And then, I go and act as if I'm entitled to any of it. I thought for sure it was going to be, and then Luke stumbled into the room.
I was waiting for that. That's the part I really want to see.
I know.
Come on, game.
That by virtue of us growing up together, he must return whatever I feel for him, that he's not allowed to look at another because I'm the one who has stayed by his side the longest. When in the first place, Ashton has always been his own person. This is something I cannot force on him. I can only hold on to these, take care of it, until the time comes I can confess it to him. Great if he reciprocates, but if he can't, if he won't, selfish. I've been too selfish. How laughable that Luke's words still strike true up until now.
But what do I know?
I'm sure the daughter of the two greatest professors I've ever known is smart enough to know what she's talking about.
Well, you know, at one point, maybe I would have easily agreed to that. However, the past weeks, I've also seen changes in the way I view things. As nice as these things sound, it turns out whatever I previously know may not even be true for other people or for myself. It is sobering and almost funny how things I might have said with much certainty before now has doubts muddying each of them. But there will be a time to mull about all these.
Is the bratwurst?
Later,
Is
because
the bratwurst?
when a hush suddenly descends in the room, a whole different issue rears. I'm so excited.
Yes. Click.
Especially when fucking Luke, strides into the now quiet ballroom, fashionably late and oozing with the same pompous mien he always carries around with him.
Good evening, ladies and gents. Enjoying the party?
You're gonna enjoy it even more in like 5 minutes.
I hope I'm not too late in welcoming you all to the right mansion.
Before long, Hana leaves my side to join him, and it doesn't take a genius to piece it all together.
Welcome one and all to our humble abode. Tonight, if you have yet to find yourself in your roles, you are our ladies and lords of the court of your king and queen, if you would excuse my presumptuousness. So enjoy the feast that has been laid out for your senses as we only allowed the best to be served. Enjoy the rest of your night, everyone.
His attitude, the manner he carries himself.
Why are people clapping?
Because they're cheering him. Saying, good speech, buddy. His attitude, the manner he carries himself around people, his unfamiliarity with that part of the city. Fucking course. I should have known. Although I'm partly at fault here, tabloids and the gossip columns have never been really my thing. I should have also expected that wherever Luke fucking Wright is, some sort of drama will sure follow. He seems the kind of person who revels in it, figures it'll find him on its own, even when he's not asking for it. It happens amidst a round of applause and hoots that people lagging behind the crowd they've gathered does not catch on, until the cheers turn into several scandalized gasps.
Not the bratwurst!
I didn't see it coming.
I am pregnant with your little bastard. You promised me you'll take responsibility.
I'm still wondering if this is a lie.
God damn it, Luke. I finally got you to talk to me after months of silence, and you do this to me.
What do you mean you're pregnant with? Luke, is this true?
Lies and slander, woman! Security! Johans, take her out of here before she makes an even bigger fool of herself!
No, you do not do this to me. I was so ready to leave my stupid oaf of a husband. I told you to leave that damn wife of yours. Look at her. Does she look like she wants a baby?
Ouch.
Does she look like she could take care of a baby?
I mean, more so than you do at
Yeah,
this
you're
point.
quite drunk and pregnant.
Yeah, not a great look. That seems like as good a place as any to leave it.
Just
I know, that moment.
beautiful. Fucking Luke.
Yes. Fucking Luke.
Bratwurst, whiskey.
Fucking Luke. Anyway, that's gonna do it for us. As always, thank you guys so much for watching, and we'll see you next time.